All right, we're all set. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Qumulex Radio. I am Josh, joined by my co pilot and friend, Aaron Newman. And today we have a very special guest. We have Jim Rigg from Indoor Robotics. And where are you located today? Are you out on the road?
Yeah, actually, we're doing an install in Peoria, Illinois.
Oh,
So,
awesome. Very
yeah,
cool.
with an integrator partner that's near and dear to your heart, Infinite Systems.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I know who we're talking about then.
yeah,
Awesome. I
yeah.
believe he's been a guest on this podcast before.
Yes, very wise, very wise person.
Yeah, yeah, no question. So, for anybody that's not familiar, I don't know if you just give us just a brief overview of indoor robotics and what you guys do there.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we are the only fully autonomous drone solution in the world at this point. Out of Tel Aviv, we have our CTO is here in Sunnyvale. We have operations center in Dallas, where we do all the pre-sales activity, and then the post-sales installations and so forth. So those guys are actually on site here doing a warehouse install for us right now. So, and we're going to actually make that a lab going forward for Qumulex / indoor robotics. So we're getting a lot of momentum with, it's more fully cloud-based solution, so it's just natural fit. But we have over 20,000 missions that we've flown the past year. It's our secret sauce, if you will, is a combination of LiDAR, range sensors, and cameras to create the mapping and the navigation. So we don't use geo mapping at all, only indoors because there's no regulations or no FAA stipulations on outdoors, right? So very, very relevant in warehouses, in large retails like malls where you have a big atrium and then you want to patrol different levels, right? Kind of eliminates the whole Paul Blart function.
Yeah.
Sad to say for Paul, but but a lot more effective and efficient, right? And then also data centers, right? We have a thermal sensor on board the Tando version. We have two versions, Tando and Skydio, for warehouses. The warehouse version is super fast. It can cover 400,000 warehouse with one platform or one drone. But the thermal sensors are on the smaller version, and they're to actually they can give readings. They can go down power banks in data centers or utilities in the power rooms and give you a lot quicker and more efficient reading of the temperatures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, because sometimes that's only caught if a guy's reading a dial, right, or a
Mhm.
sensor, and can go catch the anomaly. So the whole thing is there's so many false alarms out there still, right? And that's kind of the whole advent of analytics and AI
Mhm.
is to primarily eliminate false alarms, right? So this actually does that better than I've been in this game analytics side for a long time, and this really does that well because it can get basically eyes on any kind of alarm or sensor alarm almost instantly, right? And if you have something that's out of the norm, so you can program routine missions and then create kind of a trend or baseline of normal activity, so that when you have leaks, in facilities or doors open that should not be open, to broken glass, squatters, right? These things can really efficiently capture what's going on and send a notice to the operator or to the SOC or the GSOC, or at the same time to law enforcement or fire department, right? So if you have a warehouse or somewhere where you have a smoke alarm or you get a access control alarm, and you can send the drone out there, whether it's on a planned mission or you just need to have it go explore what the heck's going on, right? You can send those eyes on video to emergency services personnel before they even roll up to the building. So So it kind of crosses all spectrums, right? So it's definitely security, but life and health, environment, health, and safety as well, right? So inspections and all the stuff that just isn't done after hours and overnight because it's cost prohibitive to have guards there all the time, and so sometimes they just opt out. So we feel we augment guarding. We aren't trying to
Right.
replace the guards, but if that works and that's the viable next step, then the customer can certainly do that. But augmenting like nights and weekends, we have guys that I'm working on for example, in Kansas City, a medical Sowers Medical Institute, right? He's got a big warehouse. It's not like a rack and aisle deal like you would see in an Exeter or a distribution facility, but he just got a lot of stuff in there. And he says, we've got a $200,000 budget just for 24/7 guard
Right.
observation. We can do that whole thing for under 30, right? For the year. So it's not just a small delta, it's a dramatic ROI delta. So that's why we've kind of grown so fast we have, and we've got we're doing the warehouses for Nestle, 5 warehouses for Nestle. We're doing Intel in offices in Europe, data center for the European Union and Spain. So these guys kind of have penetrated Europe, and now we're kicking it off in the US. So and I think the key to that success is integrations with the VMSs, right? It's all part of a holistic solution. So anyway, that's what we are.
No, that's great. I mean, so basically to sum up, I mean, you offer these drone solutions where they essentially are in a way autonomous. I mean, they've
Yes.
been programmed to fly perhaps
Yep.
regular mission, have a tour if you want them to, but also can respond
Yep.
to instances. And you mentioned multiple times, and we always want to be sensitive to the fact that we're always trying to help technology make things better and not necessarily eliminate people's jobs. That's usually one
Right.
of the when you use the word robot, that's the first thing
Yeah.
we all get upset about, or AI. Everyone fears that everybody's job is going to go away. But there's a couple things I would think of there. First of all, is I wonder how many facilities there are out there where they just don't have the budget for guards anyway. So perhaps they currently have no type of guard.
Correct.
It seems like this may be an opportunity, this type of technology to, maybe have a way to provide that, using the drones. But, another thing that sounds really important to me, I mean, we're talking a lot about like data center and warehouse type applications, but do you think there's any potential future for this type of technology for like maybe schools or other locations because I'm just wondering, and maybe I'm getting ahead of the horse in the cart a little bit here, but I would think like maybe in an active shooter situation, would it maybe be beneficial that they could, I feel like that drone could probably locate where the gunshots are coming from based on gunshot analytics and
Great observation and question, Josh. And actually, we have some campuses looking at that right now, because obviously you can't have the drone fly during school hours. I mean, the drone on a side note, in its built-in navigation software, we've never hit a person, right? If somebody's in its path, it can go around them, but you don't have it flying around during school hours. But if you map the hallways, right, and they have an active shooter and they lock down, you can set the drone out and isolate, give video where the guy is, right? Not in a classroom, but in the hall, hopefully before he goes in, before he penetrates a classroom. So because of that's part of the ad hoc ability, it can be sitting there, the school goes locked down, they can send drones on every floor to anywhere. And
I mean, that would potentially really save a lot of lives, because
absolutely,
I feel like one of the biggest problems is of course they're trying to stage and figure out where the threat is, and
right.
with respect to their own safety a little bit before they just rush in.
Yep.
And if they were able to access and track in real time where that's occurring, I mean, I think they would be able to respond almost immediately.
That's correct. And you think of it as it's wireless mobile camera that can be eyes on anywhere in the mapped, profile, if you will. So and one of the observations that I at GSX, so the most consistent feedback we got and kind of problem solving we were asked about is just what you said about there's so many companies that are on the hook for empty warehouses that for whatever reason the building closed, but they're still liable for what's going on inside those doors. And I talked to a guy, he has 9 warehouses around the country at GSX, and he just doesn't have a way to manage that. Way too cost prohibitive to hire guards 24/7, or even half that time just to go, because they've got homeless people that sometimes break in and hang out, right? Especially in the winter. So this can really solve a lot of those challenges as well. Yeah.
How are alerts fed to your customer base? Is that done through a mobile app?
So the control bridge is the dashboard with all the what every event that's captured or anomaly, it comes back to the control bridge. So as that is identified, and it can also be sent to an on-prem VMS server, and it can be sent to SMS or email to anybody. So nobody has to be a user. It would go to any GSOC, SOC, or law, or emergency responders, school superintendents, right? The guys that need to have eyes on awareness, situational awareness to call the next shot. Or I guess, or not call the next shot, I should say, but take the next appropriate step about it.
So this is, I feel like we've been hearing about drones for a long time, but I feel like this idea of a drone working in this way feels pretty new, feels pretty cutting edge. Are we right at the beginning, do you think, of this movement? It sounds like you're claiming to be the first or the only that's kind of offering in this manner right now. It seems like there's a lot of opportunity ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, it is the first fully autonomous. You can't fly a drone inside. You can, but you're 99.99% going to crash it somewhere. You can't navigate with a pilot that and react that fast. And it's actually it's such a reasonable cost. And some of some of the stuff you've seen at ISC with the dogs and the robots, some of those have $100,000 price tags on them. Right. So it's like, where's the ROI? Where's, even though that's cool, but that's great for government because they can print money. I don't mean to get political, but
that's not political. That's just reality.
Just the facts. Just the facts, man.
No, but that makes sense. So there's a easier price point, to get started with what you're offering versus some of the really elaborate and highly capable, Boston Dynamics and other, there's a much higher price tag. So maybe that's making it a little harder for them to get in. But I kind of feel like when I imagine the future, I imagine that, all of these security platforms in a sense are able to be tied together, and that, robotics would play a part, whether that be the drones or the, the various types of robots that stay locally on the ground. It makes sense to me when I think about that in the future and all that could be. Where do you think that all of this is going to go? Obviously, we talk, schools are a possibility. Do you see this as being highly prevalent? Do you think that these drones are going to continue to evolve and do more and have more options? And
so and one of the best ways of thinking about that is in the navigational and software, in the chipset on board. That's where the AI algorithms are done. The thermal sensor. We're working on air toxicity alarms. There's just a lot. We have everybody, it's kind of like the issues and the use cases drive the next analytic, right?
Right.
And so once you have the drone in place and the platform in place, it kind of becomes like an iPhone. We develop an AI is like developing an app, and we push it out to everybody. So in the license way it's structured, whatever we do for one customer, everybody gets it, right? And so we've had people, we have warehouses asking for lots of different add-on, capabilities. So it's just a matter of, as the saying goes, nothing drives process like a deal. So when somebody says, hey, this is a real problem for us, we need it to do this. So I think as we keep adding those capabilities and functionalities, it's just appeals, or it's useful to a whole wider market, right? Solves a lot more problems because a lot of these guys, in the verticals have the same issues, right? I mean, eventually, so people have been trying to tackle inventory management forever, right? That's kind of the holy grail in the warehouse world. But it's also maybe someday, somebody develops it, but there's also just a lot of safety things that warehouses, have to deal with, right? Personnel stuff. We've had UPS ask us about, we can right now, we can see if any doors open that shouldn't be open, right? Well, we can also kind of modify that for the terminal doors, right? Up and down the dock. And some of the craziness that goes on inside with the forklift drivers. Yeah. And it can be crazy. I worked casual in Long Beach unloading containers one summer, and it's crazy. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, and like a tour,
ahead.
I'm just curious with, being rather naive to both the drone technology and a warehouse environment, what altitude would this drone fly? Would it be like right above the forklift level? Would it be at the very top of, where the merchandise is stored? What's the ideal kind of?
Well, good question. So that's why there's different. So for the indoor drone, or for the office and retail and data centers, you have a ceiling tile that that the drone comes down off of, which is earth magnet. So if the power goes out, the drone doesn't drop. In the warehouses, it's a different configuration because it's mounted like what we're doing right now. It's mounted about 8 feet high, right? And so then it goes up, and it can actually fly over all the racks in this warehouse and give you a bird's eye view of every aisle, everything that's going on, and if there's any safety issues with pallet shifting or load shifting, that kind of thing, or broken into, right? All the stuff. It's just all the stuff you can observe with just taking video of what's going on. But yeah, and you can set the flight heights, if you will. So you can have it go, 10 feet, and the cameras on board will tilt, and so they can give you from the floor all the way up to the ceiling, video, every aisle, every open space, So, but yeah, good question.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are there any common concerns or questions that people have when they're considering using this technology?
One is, what if something blocks its path, right? Or if a person is in the way, if it's for whatever reason, and so it has the ability to navigate on board, alter its path a little bit, so it goes around people, right? It won't hit them. If something is blocking its mission and it can't proceed or can't go around it, it'll go back to the tile and send a notice, right, that, hey, I couldn't do this. If something for whatever reason blocks it, it's in route, and it can't go forward, and for some reason it can't go back to the tile, it will land and just say an alarm, send an alarm that to whoever the level 1 support is. It could be an integrator, it could be a remote operations center, and just say, hey, I'm sitting here, somebody come get me. So I couldn't get back home, right? But those are all kind of smart safety things that have been built in. Yeah.
Do you ever run into, and especially in Europe, I mean, Europe does a really good job with like their privacy laws, which sometimes can make certain tasks harder, I guess, even when they're quite legitimate and useful. I mean, do you ever run into any issues like in your European deployments where someone claims that that's like a privacy violation or can only operate certain hours, or is there anything like that GDPR related that you have to deal with?
Well, you have personnel it's an after hours operation, but what's good about that is it's almost the opposite, because where they are not allowed to have cameras, right, standard security cameras, in some areas this thing can fly after hours and just give you video of is somebody there that shouldn't be there, right, after hours, and that type of thing. So it kind of is a way around those kind of restrictions.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is from a ROI standpoint, this project I'm working on in Kansas City, he said, hey, even if I wanted to put cameras in, because I can't afford to get the field of views I need with cameras, 300 feet of Cat 6 switches, to power it all. There's no way, right? So to your point earlier, we either don't do it, or we have a smart, really inexpensive way to mitigate all these risks and liabilities. So I think the next one of the next things is, like, once we get some of these, start alleviating some of these risks and liability exposures, I take it to the insurance companies and say, hey, it's like having your house by the fire hydrant. Show me some love, give me a discount.
Yeah, I mean, I would think in most
I've taken
circles
these steps
it would be positive.
Yeah, I've taken these steps to eliminate all those risks that would turn into, or possibly turn into, insurance issues, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
No, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever come back from the future and try to stop you because of the eventual robot war?
Say that again.
It's a Terminator joke. Don't take me seriously all the time, Jim. No, I think it's super cool and has nothing to do with Skynet.
Yeah, that's right.
No, this is great. This is exciting. I mean, this is to me just a natural evolution in the use of AI, and really, I think could help fill a lot of gaps for a lot of folks that either can't afford guards, but also I think for law enforcement. I mean, I come from a law enforcement family. I mean, that seems really like an incredible potential possibility, like a benefit, in some of these active shooter situations or other situations where, the responding agency having the ability to, to see immediately what is going on and where it is can allow them to act faster and act appropriately and jump right in. And it just feels like the sky is the limit.
Yeah. Well,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. Well, and that's another thing with the IoT sensors on board. Like, we can actually, as we get fully integrated, like with you all, if you have a motion alarm, a sensor go off on a camera somewhere in the facility, the drone can receive that alarm, turn the lights on, take off on the mission, and we just did this in this warehouse too. You put the right light switch in, a Wi-Fi switch, and it turns the warehouse lights on, goes on the mission, and then you can turn them off when it gets back and docked. But it also turns the motion sensors off and all the cameras in between, so you don't create motion alarm chaos as the drone's flying through everybody's field of view. So it's just really smart, and it's getting smarter as we engage more use cases and more scenarios. Yeah.
No, this is great. And I mean, just as an aside, I think that sounds like a really fun job. I mean, what you're out selling and talking about. I mean, it sounds like that's got to be pretty fun.
It is. Everybody, it's cool, but you don't buy cool. I mean, but you buy stuff that solves the problem, actually eliminates false alarms. I mean, we've been trying to do that forever, right?
Yeah.
With analytics and edge stuff in the camera. So and false alarms are still the bane of the industry. I mean, I had a call
Right.
with a guy who for eBay. He was in Germany. He spends his whole week to this day putting together a spreadsheet of all the false alarms. It takes him a whole week to do it, and then he starts again on the week on the next week. He's going crazy, but right here we are, and that's all they have to solve it right now.
Well, and again, benefits law enforcement, because if we reach the point where maybe that kind of information can be easily shared, the same way that in most districts you have to kind of license your alarm system, and some require some type of video verification. I mean, if there's eventually evolved to where they kind of get confirmation from the robot, yes, there's something going on here, or no, this is a false alarm. I mean, again, it's all about whatever the police are spending their time on, or whatever service will be responding, like fire department. I mean, those trucks can only be in one place at a time. So, and the more we cut down on false alarms, I mean, the better focused our first responders
saves
are.
Departments a ton of money. So my brother-in-law he just retired as a major in Kansas City Police Department, right? And then he became the CEO of the police foundation. So to your point, every department has a foundation in a banquet and a fundraiser to create a slush fund for stuff that they need. And so if it's viable, it helps solve the problems like you just mentioned. They don't even have to go down the bid process path. They can just budget it, or they use this fund because it's so effective. It's such an effective solution, I should say.
No, I love it.
There's
Very
lots of
cool.
creative ways to take stuff down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jim, very fascinating subject. Really enjoyed this discussion, and as things advance and we're doing more and more cool things, maybe you can come back and give us an update and let us know how things are going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And shout out to my boy Kerry, man. He's an asset.
He is. We love Kerry.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well,
but Josh, I appreciate having me and the time, and we'll come back together and see what else we've created.
You got it. It's a date.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks to you, and thanks to Aaron as always, and for everybody else, we will see you next time.
See ya. Thanks, fellas. Bye-bye.